Hi Rose, this is Tony.
Yes.
Okay, very quickly, we have this situation developing, as you know, about testing of body fluids such as urine, blood, or breast milk, as well as groundwater and so on, for glyphosate.
Yes.
And glyphosate is the active ingredient, in short, the poison in Monsanto's Roundup herbicide.
Yes. Would you
Now,
consider it a poison? You know that the chemical salesmen around where I live tell the Hutterite farms that it is safe enough to drink.
yeah, I consider it poison. It is safe enough to drink. It depends. Like, for instance, there is poison that will kill you in 1 minute, and there is poison that will kill you over 10 years in a painful death, or in 20 years. Both, to me, are poison. One,
Yes.
you live to suffer through it. Other one, you don't live to suffer through it.
Correct.
So, so the thing is, this glyphosate, enough independent scientists, there are not many of them left because of this hijacking of the science and the labs by the biotech
Yes.
corporation and industry. But those who are still there, they are not only finding correlation graphs between the rise in the use of glyphosate and rise in chronic diseases. That's of course a sign that something is not correct and it should be investigated more. But they have also known now that this microbiome, or this gut bacteria that we all have, perform an extremely important function. It is, in fact, it is so important that scientists have given it a new name and are calling it an additional organ that we have. They call it the microbiome.
Absolutely.
So why?
Health starts in the gut.
Why? Because unlike the bacteria and the plants, who can produce their own food from original elements from the earth, like water and air and sunlight, they can mix it all together and create their own amino acids and proteins. We cannot do that. So, in other words, higher animals like mammals, like you and me, are biotechnically speaking, or biomolecularly speaking, we are retarded creatures. We cannot make their own food. We need to be fed, and we cannot even make our own proteins and enzymes by just
No.
eating food, eating other plants and animals. Even that is not good enough. We need the gut bacteria to break it down from the kind of ingredients that the plants provide, or the meat provides, and then rebuild it into the type that we need. And this is how important that gut bacteria is. And glyphosate, being an antibiotic, although they say that nothing happens to you if you drink it, but it destroys your microbiome little at a time, and eventually you cannot use the food to build up the vitamins and the enzymes and all the stuff that you need, and therefore you essentially become chronically ill in more than one way, depending on which item gets attacked first. You get obesity, or you get diabetes, you get autism, you get Crohn, you get celiac. You can pick your choose. All of them are deadly illnesses. So to me, it is a poison, but that's not the issue. The issue is the moms across America were the first to start testing by their own money whether this glyphosate is accumulating in the human body. And it is important to understand this a little bit, because EPA has accepted a very high level of presence of glyphosate in the food because it is non-toxic, and because if you ingest it by accident, or if it is in the food and you happen to eat it, they say it doesn't accumulate in the body. Your body rejects it, so it goes out through your feces and your urine. You got my point?
Yes.
However, the test by the moms across America showed that it has jumped that barrier, and it has managed to get inside mother's breast milk as well, which means to show that it does accumulate in the body. And
I
if
agree.
it accumulates in the body, it means over a period of time the concentration becomes much more than what is in the environment, the dose that you're taking. You might be taking 1 ppm at a time, but if you don't flush it out in your body, eventually it is going to be 500 ppm. So if it bioaccumulates, the allowable limit should be way, way lower than what it is now. So this test is very important for Canadians. And that is why, since the healthcare department, the environment department, the bloody government, either at the at the Ottawa federal level or in the provincial level or even in the municipal level do not want to touch this, people are going to bypass the political process, the corrupt political process, and take initiative in their own hands. Therefore, it is
Absolutely.
so
We
important.
need to do this in Canada.
Sorry?
We need to do this in
And
Canada.
we need more numbers because the costing, as I have been directly involved with the quotation and all. We have not gotten a final quotation yet, but indications are beginning to come, at least from USA, and we are waiting for some quotes from Canada as well. The thing is, the cost is dependent on the numbers. So if you get only 20 samples, the cost will be 100 and plus something bucks. But if you get lots, hundreds and hundreds of samples, I expect the final cost to be way less. Not only that, with 20 samples, you don't get a proper picture of what's happening in. You need lots of data to say, okay, this age group is getting maximum vulnerable, we need to do, or that area is really, really in a bad shape, or that ethnic group or that food habit people. We need to get meaningful data to make sense out of it. And we don't need only the people who are already eating clean food like yourself or myself, only them giving samples. Why? Because our samples are expected to be cleaner. We need to get the majority of the people, at least more of the people who are living a dangerous lifestyle by buying cheap and fast food and so on, and who are living in areas where glyphosate is all over the place and they are being sprayed, or people who are farming who are actually handling it more often. We need some samples from there, and this is important to pass this message around so that we get a better picture. And after that, if the government wants to argue that glyphosate is still good in your mother's milk, not to worry, okay, let them say that. Let the chips fall where they may. At least we can find the truth of whether it is getting into our body, how badly we are exposed to it.
I'm suggesting we should probably form a group and do some fundraising so those people of lower economic means who probably couldn't afford the testing, and those
That's
are the
one thing.
people that
Yes,
are
if you
eating the
can.
bad food,
Yeah.
we need to allow them to participate in this study.
Absolutely. So if you can take initiative, I'm not good at this kind of thing. I'm good at what I do, and I don't have time to raise organizations for raise funds and all that. But I can tell you one thing. I have decided that I will pay for 2 tests, one from my family, either me or my wife, and one more, either full or part, helping somebody who should be tested and cannot afford. I will fund partly. So if everybody does that, that itself is a big way without even asking for big funds. And on top of that, if you have funds, I mean, if you can organize something on that, that's fine. So you need to. Okay, I hand over the mic to you. You say.
Yes, I totally agree, and I'd be willing to offer my time and participate in organizing this type of study.
Correct. And the questionnaire will be there will be a questionnaire. People who want to do that kit will contain a questionnaire that they have to fill up and sign to agree to send it, have this test and pay for it. And that questionnaire will be a sample questionnaire is coming to us of the type that moms against across America use, but we may decide to change a little bit and all that. So this basically gives a little bit better database analysis tools such as age, sex, ethnic background, food habits, lifestyle, regionally where you're located in Canada, and things like that. So after the details start coming up from the lab, we will need some guy who is good at database, and they can put in all these figures and begin to come out with charts and graphs and so on. That we need some volunteer. Some volunteer I can do that, but I don't have the time to get into making charts. So we need some, it has to be a broad-based effort.
Yes, and we can get other groups. We can get other groups that are concerned about food security and safety involved. So I believe our first step would be to contact some of these groups and see in what capacity they could participate.
Absolutely. So, okay, we are 10 minutes nearly up. You have to say something. I know you have to go to the radio show. Can you talk to them about this also, this movement that is just forming? It is evolving in its state of flux right now.
You mean about the GE Foods tour, or?
No, you're going to talk to the radio just now, I thought.
Oh, yes. They are going to be showing the documentary GMO Alfalfa, The End Game, and they're going to be putting on many websites across the USA, and they were wanting to know what is happening in Canada. Are we as passionate as they are in the United States? And I would say we're just as passionate, if not more, as we're doing this GMO Foods tour with Dr. Terry Brennan and yourself. across Canada this year, and we're
Yeah, that's
determined to
one
do
thing,
it.
that is to raise awareness, but this testing is actually direct action, bypassing a
Absolutely,
government
direct action.
which
Well,
is
it's
not
very
doing its
sad.
job.
I have to say, it's very sad that our government will not participate in this or even look at this. It's actually no different as to what happened when the Fukushima thing happened and they shut down the radioactivity testing.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, this is direct action by the people because government is not doing what it should.
Well, you have to ask yourself the question: why is the government not doing it? Are they hiding something? Are trying to protect the big corporations? What is it?
Yeah, you can ask and they will not answer. But here is an example where people are willing to take control in their own hands, bypassing the political process if necessary, and then let the chips fall. Even if it begins to hurt the politician, they deserve it.
Yes, correct. And we will vote with our.
Wallet.
Yes, you bet. We will vote with our wallets. Ah, and have you seen? I don't know. I might just want to add this. Have you seen the latest data that came out today about Russia? About Russia lawmakers want to equate GMO-related activities that may harm
Oh
human
yes,
health
they want to
or even
include
cause
it.
death
That
to
they want
terrorist
to
acts.
call they want to call it an act of terror if they promote GMOs that can be harmful, and therefore they can be prosecutable not under trade laws or under scientific misrepresentation, but as a criminal act of mass weapon of
Absolutely,
handling weapons of mass destruction.
absolutely. That would mean most of our MPs and government officials, if they went over to Russia, they'd be arrested.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, why in Russia, in a just society, many of these lobbyists should be going to jail here.
Yep. And I just got word that the Chinese army wants to ban GMO grains and oil from military food supply.
Yeah, I saw that too. Anybody who is sane and not already sold his soul to the devil will think and has the capacity to think rationally will do what these people are doing.
Exactly.
Ban GMO and ban pesticide from their neighborhood.
I agree, Tony.
And it is not just health issue, it is also your sovereignty issue. How can you hand over your food security to a patent holding foreign corporation? I mean, that itself should be a failing point. Forget everything else.
Correct.
I mean, farmers can't even save their own seeds and replant. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's terribly wrong. That's why we're doing the GE Foods tour across Canada. Farmers are waking up, people are waking up, and they're saying enough's enough.
Yeah, the small farmers are waking up. Unfortunately, big farmers have sold themselves, so they are getting into a fight with the beekeepers. They want the neonicotinoids to be there, even if the beekeepers go out of business. They don't give a damn, and this is really horrible. What's happening?
Yeah. Well, we can't give up. We have to keep up the fight and keep up the pressure because I will not go down without a fight.
Absolutely, and neither will I. So Rose, we love you, and you go and give them hell in the radio show, and tell your friends. And I'm asking the listeners here. We'll convert it into a quick unedited podcast that people need to get on board.
Right on. Thanks, Tony,
Okay,
for all
take
your
care.
effort.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
So there it is, folks. Incidentally, I do not have right in front of me the exact level as approved by EPA in USA of how much glyphosate is acceptable in food, and also what are the exact figures in Europe. I read somewhere that is thousands of times less in Europe because they suspect it will bioaccumulate, and that is thousands of times higher in USA because they claim that it will not bioaccumulate. And I don't know the corresponding exact figures. I read it, but I don't have it in front. So those listeners who have access to this data, if they would, I would appreciate if you can pass it to me so I can store it somewhere and talk about it later. I can find it out, but I have so many things to do. So appreciate if y'all can help. And also, I don't know the data for Canada. I believe that they simply accept what the promoters of these products claim. But however, if there are limits imposed by Health Canada on this glyphosate in the food limits and so on, and how it compares with what is in Europe and elsewhere, I would like to know, and I would much appreciate if you can send me these data. Apart from that, this effort that is going that is underway by people of Canada to take matters in their own hands to test their body fluids and the water nearby for traces of glyphosate and Monsanto's Roundup weed killer, please join us. And if you know people who might be interested, please point them to this conversation and also ask them to join us. And I can be found on Facebook under the name of Tony Mitra, Mitra. I can be found in Twitter as at Tony Mitra, one word. You can email me at tony.mitra@gmail.com. You can also find me on my blog, which is www.tonu.org. We shall stay in touch. Please join this effort. Thank you.